So back then I felt like it was important to give my colleagues the sort of freedom to do their own thing within their own salon, although it was under the Dean Gera brand. I wanted them to feel like it was theirs and they could do a lot more with it as well.
In fact, it's your name on the door, but the way people run it feels like it's their own. All right, Dean, welcome to another episode of Unbrandme. It's episode 30. I really couldn't believe it this morning, to be honest, when Martin said it's episode 30. How the hell did we get here? Finally, have you on our podcast. It's been a while. It's been coming. You were probably one of the first people that others nominated to have on the podcast. I'm not going to lie. To be honest, at first when they said Dean Gera, I was like, really? Not going to lie. Before I met you, you have I had a very different impression of you, but we went out for dinner, we started opening up, and your story is just absolutely fascinating. So because I didn't want to trust myself, I started to ask a lot of people around you to see what is this Dean Gera guy? Is he a really nice guy? And the amount of respect and the amount of love that many people have towards you is just absolutely impressive. So today, as part of the podcast, I'm planning to go a bit deep, understand your story, what got you here. Every time we speak, you mention a new side story, another chapter. I'm like, seriously? Where did that come from? So really, really happy to have you here. At Brandwagon, we believe in a very simple concept. Better people make better brands, and better brands make a better world. So you're definitely one of those. And hopefully we can, release your story properly out there in the world so others can believe.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank me later and see if you still like me after the questions I ask you. Dean, you're a son, a brother, a husband, a father, a friend to many, an athlete, a hairstylist, the founder of Dean Gera Salons. You're involved in I don't know how many different businesses. I thought there was only 3. Mood, See Society, but there's so many others, which we'll probably unpack later. And if I had to ask you to introduce yourself without mentioning your occupation, your nationality, where you grew up, your hobbies, your passions, your religion, what would you describe yourself? Who is Dean Gera?
I think I'm an extremely positive person, but also very, very competitive. So I think those are the 2 things that would fit me the best, I think.
Yeah, Andrew, who I asked from Vintage 82, big plug for Andrew, he said you're an eternal optimist,
yes,
but you also set the bar extremely high, but you're very ready to get your hands dirty and get in there and get shit done when it needs to be done. Dean, you started from very humble beginnings to a certain extent, working in your mum's salon at the age of 14. Give me a bit of the background story. Tell me where it all started.
I mean, it was a very successful salon, and I come from a long reign of hairdressers in the family. I never thought about doing hairdressing. It was always sports, mainly football, and I think back then, that's what I thought I'd do something in the sports. Obviously, I dreamt about maybe playing football overseas professionally.
Well, you were on the 21 national team, right?
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, the dream was to play abroad.
Yeah.
And I loved playing football in Malta. But I think when I was about 14, it was before the millennium. My mother was really busy in the salon, and she just asked me to go in to help sweep the floor, make teas, coffees, and eventually start shampooing. And basically, that's where the hairdressing journey started. Again, I went into it not knowing that I'd like it or enjoy it, and I just did it for a bit of pocket money and just to see what it was all about. But then what drew me into the industry was the impact I saw hairdressers, which is very cliche. A lot of hairdressers say it, but it is actually an amazing feeling. The fact that you can literally give confidence to an individual by sort of doing their hair, listening to them. So that's what really drew me into the industry.
I believe that hairdressing is part psychology, part friendship,
yes,
and part styling. Yeah. So I mean that's a really interesting angle. And so at what point, when was the moment that you said, this could be a really interesting career for me?
Well, I mean, it took a while, but again, I was still at school.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously back then, I mean, even now, a man going into hairdressing could have its negativity, at school, like people bullying and all that. But the reality was that as soon as I sort of started telling my friends that I was going into this industry, or I liked it, or I was working there, the amount of support that I got was quite impressive, both at school and both from football. So I actually started cutting all my friends' hair at a very early stage. So I was about 15 and I started barbering. And that's where I got into cutting. So I started cutting very early.
15, wow.
But not great haircuts, but I mean,
what was your worst haircut? Who
most probably
landed?
my first ever cut. I don't know if he even remembers.
Who was it?
Stefan de Battista,
Okay.
which is actually my wife's cousin.
Yeah, I know Stefan.
And it was about a 3-hour haircut, no clippers, just literally
God.
trying to scissor over comb. He loved it. It was horrible, terrible. I enjoyed it. I mean, I was just playing around. It was, I think, in his bathroom back where he lived back then. But that was my very first haircut.
Well, there you go. Did mom know you were cutting somebody else's hair?
No, most probably not.
Was she proud of you then? Or
that
was she worried that she was going to have to do a recut?
No. Everyone was extremely supportive. And when I showed interest, I think she was very happy to sort of show me the ropes. And again, it takes a while for you to, from that, helping position to end up doing actually cutting, or so it was like a 3-year, 4-year.
Okay, so you're about 17 now. At what point, you went to work in London now, at what point did you decide, like, this is it, I'm not chasing academics and I'm going to go into hairstyling? And
so again, I went to MCAST. So
Okay.
after school, I went to MCAST and I spent 2 years there while working. So it was an apprenticeship course.
Yeah.
So still working in my mother's salon. And I don't know what happened. Like I actually went to London, to England, to play football.
Ah, right.
So that's what I was dating a girl back then. She was going to university, and I said I'll try do something in the UK. And I had this really great client that had some contacts in the UK and found this conference team that was very interested in having me try out for them. So I spent the first 2 weeks in the UK playing and training with this conference team, which back then I think the level was very similar to the Premier League in Malta, but a bit more physical.
Okay.
So technically the same, but completely professional. And I was playing Premier with Pieta back then.
Okay.
So I left. I was under contract. So I left to play football there. And obviously it just didn't work out. Pieta weren't happy to give my release back and all that. And then I said, I'm here. I want to try it out. And I went into hairdressing. My uncle, who's also a stylist in the UK, came around. I was 19 back then. So showed me a few salons that he thought would work for me, would suit me. And I fell in love with the Trevor Sorbet brand and the flagship salon in Covent Garden. And that's where I spent
place to start.
And that's where I spent another 2 years there.
How was it when you were there?
Completely different. I mean,
How did you feel?
Huge. In what sense?
Did you feel alone in a really big city?
No.
Or you felt very comfortable?
I felt extremely comfortable.
You were in your place?
I was in my place. I saw hairdressing from a different aspect as well. So I saw the management, so the back end side. I saw the creativity, working in a huge team. So I think back then there were about 65 hairdressers, and then management as well. People from all over the world. It was just a great experience.
Rumor has it that you had to get out there on the streets to try and get people in so you could actually cut their hair.
Yes,
True story?
True story. So I was offered a job as an assistant. So I was always very confident with color. So that was my sort of thing, even before I left to the UK. So I wanted to challenge myself in cutting to really get my cuts back up to scratch. And so the training there was intense. So you literally have to go on the street, get models in. The reality is, as soon as you tell them you're working for a brand like Trevor Sorbet, the majority of them would come in. And once a week, I'd get models in and really spent a couple of hours doing the cuts that were needed.
Fantastic. It's good training.
Very challenging.
I'm sure. Which is
going
the challenging part, going out there and,
Yes.
and feeling.
The
and-
cutting, again, it was second nature
Cutting,
to me,
yeah.
so that was
It's what you grew
quite...
up with.
and I still felt, although I thought I needed to really polish on my skill, I was still very confident in that. So I was still very confident getting someone in the chair.
Yeah.
So that's my space
So it
till
was,
today.
it was getting
It's the
out
ease.
there and trying to lure people in.
Exactly.
Rumor also has it that you cut a few very famous people's heads, right?
Cut, no, maybe styled.
Styled.
Back then,
Was there a Spice Girl moment?
there was a Spice
Tell us
Girl
about
moment.
that. How did that happen?
No, basically she was a regular in the salon, and back then you'd be always helping the senior stylists. So it was a couple of moments where I'd go in and style her hair.
Do you remember your very most favorite haircut, or was it like or styling the most famous person, like which was the most
Favorite haircut? I think back then,
the favorite moment rather than a style or anything? Like who was the person that you really enjoyed?
too many to
Too
as
many.
in
Any really touching moments you want to share?
touching. I think the reality is that anyone that comes into my chair and like the conversations, there are too many to share. I mean, I've been doing it for over 27 years, so very difficult to pinpoint one. I think I was pretty humbled when I started at Trevor Sorbet because I obviously came from Malta. I thought I was very, very, very good. And I went there, and after they go through all the haircuts and all that, it's you start realizing that you're not as good as you think you are. So I think that was one of the times when I felt like there's so much more for me to learn. So that I think that is one thing
that's
that
humbling.
really...
And then you decided to come back to Malta.
And I decided to come back to Malta.
And then what happened? You opened up a salon
And then-
in a hotel, right?
Yes. So I came back to Malta, and the first thing I did was, the hardest thing was telling my parents that,
I'm sure your mom was waiting for you and expecting you to come
Yes.
back into the family business.
Yes.
I would have loved to see that conversation.
again, I mean,
What was the
I don't-
decision that led you to do it alone?
I think, ironically, not wanting to work in a family business and knowing the things that can happen with family, sort of, that they don't always stand out working
Yeah.
well. And I had my own sort of vision as well, which was back then not what my mother or father thought that the salon should be.
Right.
And obviously coming back from the UK, the energy, seeing what they were doing there. So I decided to branch off alone.
Put your name on the door and you started.
Yes, with my name again. I mean, Trevor Sorbet had his name on the door, so why not?
So why not?
Exactly.
Of course.
But the reality was that I felt that I'd like to open a salon and employ the best people. So back then, again, very naive, didn't realize what it entailed. But again, they were doing it abroad, so I said, why not? Back then at Trevor Sorbet, we had the best, or in my opinion, one of the best hairdressers in the world that was employed. So that was like, how strange, like, why, if he's the best, why isn't he opening his own salon or that? But the reality is I think it's way harder to be employed, get a fantastic salary and the respect than just going to open your own thing. It's just, it's much easier to do it yourself, I think, than get someone to trust you and give you that fantastic salary, that respect. So I said, like, why not try and do that and create a platform where other fantastic stylists can come on board and sort of work under the same umbrella. And that's how it started.
So the vision of opening up and really growing and employing the best people was always there at the very, very beginning.
Yeah, again, I was naive, I was young,
Yeah,
but that was the dream.
sometimes
That
being
was the
naive
dream.
is what makes you make these crazy dreams. No? I think that's what's most important. If most entrepreneurs knew how hard it was going to be, they probably
exactly.
would never do it.
I didn't realize the challenges that I would have faced, but yeah, I was young.
So how long ago was that?
That was in 2007.
Oh, okay.
End 2007.
Yeah, so you're hitting your 20th next year as well.
Yes.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what does Dean Gera Salons look like today? How many salons are we talking about? How many people
So
do
we
you employ?
actually, pre-COVID, we're about 9 salons. So I'd gone to 9 salons. I think we're about a team of 50. But now we're down to 3.
Okay.
Same size team.
More concentrated.
More concentrated. I felt that, the plan was to open more salons, to just more as a marketing thing as well, to be a little bit everywhere, to let people know that's who we are and what we're about. To also, back then, I felt like it was important to give my colleagues the sort of freedom to do their own thing within their own salon, although it was under the Dean Gera brand. I wanted them to feel like it was theirs and they could do a lot more with it as well.
In fact, it's your name on the door, but the way people run it feels like it's their own. I've heard a lot of great stories. In fact, there was one actually, I think this week I'm not sure if it was LinkedIn or Facebook, I saw somebody comment, a mum who was really trying to get an appointment, and somebody just jumped in and sorted it out for her, and that shows the passion and the care, and that must come from somewhere.
No, I mean, again, we have a fantastic team, so it's not just me, far from it, as in I've now taken a little bit of a back seat. Both my siblings came into the business in 2016.
That's your brother and your sister, right?
My brother and my sister. So they actually came in because when my mother retired, my mother offered us her salon.
Okay.
And my sister back then wanted to brand it to brand it as a Dean Gera Salon because it just would be much easier to. So I had 5 salons back then, and that was the 6th salon that we opened, and we opened it together. And from then on, I decided that any other opportunities that come along in the hairdressing industry, I'd open with them until 2020, when we decided to sort of merge everything together. So now we all own the equal shares.
That's great. What a lovely community. I reached out to one of your ex-teammates, football teammates, from your Pietà days, and I asked him, like, how was Dean when he was a, defender, player and whatever? And he said one of the best things about Dean was that he would make everybody feel great, and everybody loved having Dean on the team because he was such a great team player. So clearly those days of your team building really helped even within the business that you built today.
For sure. I mean, these are very nice words, but for sure, like, I think sports really molded me into the person I am today. And it plays a massive part. And I take a lot of what I learned during sports into the way I see sort of the company's sort of progress and how important it is to involve everyone. And again, I think I've been very fortunate to surround myself with very, very good people that helped sort of build the brands to what they are today.
Including your family, which clearly have been backing you up.
Yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. Do you ever regret stopping football and starting this? Is there a part of you that says, what if?
Well, now that I'm 40, yes. As in, I see. But no, back then, never. I wasn't really enjoying football that much. Like, when I came back to Malta, I still continued playing. So I just felt, doing both was very difficult. Yeah. So obviously doing hairdressing, and back then I was doing 6 days a week on my feet. And then going to train and play, my legs were already dead. So I felt I couldn't even really perform to the level I knew I could. So I wasn't loving it that much. But no, I'm very happy with how everything turned out. And I still sort of do a lot of sports. So sports is still very big, a big part of what I do.
Sports and discipline is a big part of who you are. Now, you've played squash competitively. You played for national team as well. So you played squash, you play paddle now, you're at the gym 3 times a week. Tell me a bit about your love for sports.
Well,
and what the difference it makes to you as an entrepreneur.
My love for sports is simple. Like, I love competing, and it's for me a massive de-stress. So whether it's squash, paddle, or before it was 5-a-sides and all that, and I just unwind, and I go there. I feel it's very natural for me, so it's just very easy, and I literally offload any stress, any thoughts, and it just clears up my mind a lot. Going to the gym, just started. I've been 5 years now, and that's because of injury, really. And I've been very dedicated to doing 3 to 4 times a week in the gym, and that also helps me very mentally, and it just allows me to continue playing squash and paddle.
According to your trainer, you're good at everything. You're one of those guys who's just good at whatever you touch,
Sports-wise.
sports-wise.
As in, I feel that I feel sports was something that I excelled in more than hairdressing, I would say. But obviously, you're very limited on the island as well.
Doesn't pay the bills, does it?
Doesn't pay the bills, and you're sort of thrown into football
Yeah.
at an early age. So I don't think that football would have been what I would have gone for straight away. But it's just the sport that, I mean, I tried a lot, but it's the one that my father sort of really pushed me to go into.
Let's go back to the entrepreneurship side of it. Okay, so, Dean Gera Salons, you're nearly 20 years old as a business. And besides that, you have investments in other things. You have investment in a small agency, an investment in Sea Society. What drives you to get involved in so many different things? Is it your positivity or curiosity? What is it?
Positivity. I mean, I need to enjoy and like, obviously, the project, but I like startups. That's one thing I really enjoy.
What is it about startups that you enjoy?
Creating and seeing the final project unfold and seeing what it's capable of becoming. So I'm very much hands-on in the beginning, but then I like sort of releasing the load to colleagues and partners. But it's sort of the startup that I really, really enjoy.
Is it the exciting parts of creating as opposed to just saying this one day might be a really lucrative business? Which plays the hardest thing or the most fun thing for you?
I think creating. Obviously, I have to believe in the product and the project. But again, I'm very optimistic about a lot of things that I go into. So more often than not, I think that it's going to succeed. There have been things that I've gone into that didn't succeed, obviously, but the majority of the time when I go full into like something that I'm extremely passionate about, I just love creating it and starting and building this new project.
So what does Dean look like when he's working on something new? Are you just forget and close off everything else and you just focus 100% on that?
I do. I like doing a lot of physical work as well, so it's not just me sort of delegating, and I like getting into it and creating.
A high percentage of most startups fail. I think it's like 8 out of 10 startups fail. I think 9 out of 10 startups don't last more than 10 years. Tell me a bit about some of the startups that didn't make it, or your startup ideas that didn't make it quite.
Well, to be fair, luckily there weren't many that didn't really. I mean, I haven't really gone into too many things that I felt were too much of a gamble. When I said yes at a very young age to a lot of things because I was young, I didn't really have a family. It really didn't affect me that much if I failed at something. But obviously nowadays I do. I'm a bit more cautious because obviously I have to provide for the family. So if I go into something that I feel is a little bit too deep, I could lose a lot. But I think I made the majority of the mistakes at a very young age. So luckily,
there were
the
more
consequences.
Lessons.
Exactly. So I learned a lot through that.
Anything you want to share? Can I talk about maybe the day you decided to go into battle with Dolce & Gabbana?
Well, I didn't decide to go into battle. It's something that
they call the shots.
They call it exactly. No, basically, they wanted us to change our logo because back then
you were launching a line of shampoos, right, or hair products?
We're launching when it started. Yes, so that obviously the logo had been there since 2007. And this was, if I'm not mistaken,
initials are obviously the same.
The initials were the same.
Beautiful. It was a very interesting logo. I remember seeing it. Kudos to our friends at Bloom for doing that one.
No, basically they just wanted us to remove the logo, so not the Dean Gera, but the D and the G that were intertwined. Which in reality, Dolce & Gabbana don't sort of have that logo. It's D and G.
Yeah.
But it was too close. To their logo, so they decided to try and remove
to pick a fight with Dean Gera.
And at first I said, we won, so we won it, and we were allowed to continue using it. But then they appealed, and then they beat us. That's where they beat us. So this was about a 2-year process, I think.
Was it worth picking that fight, or at least getting into that fight? in hindsight?
In hindsight, no. But I think it was more pride. Like having such a big company come up to you and say, like, listen, you can't do this, where we had registered it. It wasn't something that I wasn't registered. So they had the opportunity to sort of see it come in and refuse it back then. But we had been using it for a number of years. And then it just played out to be that we lost there was an expense behind it, but
I'm sure. And the time and the sleepless nights to a certain extent.
Well, no, it didn't. It didn't really affect me that much, to tell you the truth. It was more a financial thing that I said. When I thought we could win it, I said, oh, yeah, I don't mind. But then obviously when we lost, it was a bit of a waste of money. But I don't really get attached to...
You don't look like you get attached to any...
No, so it didn't really affect me that much. Plus, I think I was over... so many people used to come up to me and say the Dolce & Gabbana and all this. So it was sort of a bit of a put-off as well. So I wanted to rebrand and remove it.
Okay.
But then it was more like a bit of a peak, like... But again,
little,
more the
little island boy taking on
giants.
Big Dolce & Gabbana giants. Well, I mean, kudos for you for getting into that fight. I mean, it's a lesson learned, and we move on. You're also very interested in anything got to do with design. So there's a number of properties I believe you invested in. Yes. You have a big love for Valletta.
Big love for Valletta.
Where did that come from?
I think back then, we were still dating. I think we're the first year. And Becky wanted to invest in a property. And she wanted like either Valletta, Balzan, so like core places that
classic Maltese,
and she felt like she wanted to go into these areas because she felt that she didn't want to buy a property and have a block of apartments built opposite or next to it. So we started looking, and again it was just we're looking for herself, and then we really started looking in Valletta, and we fell in love with Valletta back then. And the first property that she fell in love with, back then she couldn't afford. She was on a teacher's salary, and so we're still 1 year into the relationship, and she asked, what if we do it together? And we converted, and we did, luckily. And
it's quite a contract you signed over there besides the property.
It was quite a contract. But it was
2 kids later. It's a good contract.
It was a very good contract. And we converted that property into 3. So we lived in a very small 1-bedroom, and we had 2 studios that we used to Airbnb. And then from then, we sort of started looking, we loved living there, and we started looking for a family home in Valletta as well.
That's really interesting. And then, is that when you started to fall in love with interior design, with architecture?
Yes. I was always, from the very first apartment that I bought in Malta, I was always very inclined into sort of the design elements, the style, and so I always had a passion. I think it's very close to, hairdressing is very much design based now as well. So I didn't feel it was too far away from my comfort zone. But I do love interior design.
And that's what led you to co-invest in Sea Society. Tell us about Sea Society for those who don't know.
So Sea Society is a concept store where we have predominantly Danish design brands, and we also do wines. So we collaborated with Vintage 82, and it's a bit of both. So we have furniture, wines, we do wine courses there.
But that also came from by accident, no? There was the story there was you were working on a pitch for something, or what was it?
No. So my business partner in this had approached me about 3 years prior.
Okay.
And he approached me to do something together. So I don't really even know if it was to go into it, but he wanted to do something together. So Sea Society was formed back in 2020.
Okay.
So he used to run it online, and he was doing very well. And he had approached me to see if I would first maybe get some of the brands into the salons. So there were Danish products, shampoos and all this, to see if and it wasn't something I was interested in. And it was when I had just torn my first Achilles. So I wasn't
Your
really
first Achilles, how many?
Both, because then
well done.
2.5 years later.
But one each.
One each.
Okay.
To balance stuff.
Yeah. Balanced lifestyle. Well done.
So when that happened, my mindset wasn't there. I wasn't thinking about starting anything new. But then he approached me again when the second injury came about. And I think I was more relaxed about like what was ahead. Like I knew the recovery. I knew how much time I was going to be away from the salons. So I said, why not? He's also much younger than me.
Right.
He has a lot of energy. So this was his baby. And then we started traveling together to see the brands that he was working with and to see what we could do together. The reality is that he was going to do this anyway. So with me or without me, the plan was to open shop, to sort of bring Sea Society live, like to open this concept store. But the brands that we sort of went to see, so I fell in love with as well. And that's how it started. So then I came back to Malta.
What did you see that you could bring into the business? That you yourself?
I think it's connecting people.
Right.
Is one of the things I do really, really well, or I feel I do really well. So it's the network of I work very well with a certain architectural firm that I'm very in line with the design that they do. I trust them blindly, and I knew that they were working on a project back then that I felt I could pitch the brands that we are working with together. And they also really liked the brand. So that was a very good motivational boost for me to say, like, this can actually work. And the rest is history.
It's amazing. Today, who do you see yourself most as a hairstylist become CEO and business person, or an entrepreneur who's done a number of different things?
Well, I still see myself as an athlete.
You still see yourself as an athlete?
Dude,
that ship has sailed.
Or trying to be an athlete. No. I don't see myself as a CEO.
So for you, this is still just a great game that you play.
Yes, I still really enjoy it. That's the reality. And as I said again, I have an amazing support system from home. So my wife, my kids, but even my siblings and even my business partners. So all the business partners that I form businesses with are extremely supportive, extremely hardworking. And I think we really complement each other well. And we give each other the space to do our own thing as well. So I don't know, I just really enjoy doing what I'm doing. It's not something, I don't see that. One of the things I hate the most is when someone comes up to me and calls me like boss or something like that. I don't see myself, I see myself as like on the same level as everyone. Like, and I want everyone to be involved and I want everyone's input. And I do believe that the only reason why the companies have all succeeded the way is because everyone puts in the hard work.
How do you manage to motivate and inspire such a big team or different teams?
Well, it's sort of getting harder and harder as I get older. But
is it because you're getting older and so the age gap is growing?
Yes, so that's a big part of it. So I felt that. I mean,
you're 40. How old are you?
I'm 40, and I do have colleagues that I could be their father already. So obviously, in hairdressing, they start at the age of 16, 17 coming in. So I just think it's the world is changing. So that work-life balance is shifting as well. So I think I got into the industry when it was completely different to what it is today. The work ethic was a little bit different. Not saying that now it's bad. I mean, I understand their views and what they want, what everyone wants to do. But it's just very difficult to keep everyone motivated and engaged, I think. But again, I'm very fortunate that my sister came along, who's also 11 years younger than me. So she's very much a strong part to helping me fight this sort of battle. And sometimes a very good wake up call when I think one way, but again, she's sort of pushing me to see it in a different light as well, which is great.
Talk to me a bit about the differences between you and your sister and the way you run the business. And there's your brother as well involved, right?
My brother is more involved in other businesses. So
Okay.
in the hairdressing part,
Right.
it's literally my sister and myself, where at the moment she is sort of the one running the salons.
Do you agree on everything?
No, far from it.
Is that the best thing about it?
Yes, I think it's good because for a long time it was me alone.
Yeah.
And I do take some decisions that where maybe I took them a bit too fast and all that. But I think we do come to a lot of compromises, which makes sense as well. So it's also always very good to have someone sort of discuss things and then bring that to life. Then just taking that decision alone,
Yeah.
because you need to see it from someone else's eyes as well, I think.
Absolutely. What do you believe are the top 3 principles, values that you and your sister and the rest of the business share that can continue to guide you through success and success?
I think the biggest value at the moment is, I mean, what we really do is education. So we really invest a lot in education. But then again, there's the level of trust. And I think one of the things that I've always wanted is to sort of develop everyone's skill to the best that they can be.
Comes back to the dream of having the best people on your
Exactly.
team.
I mean, it doesn't make sense just getting people on board and not giving them the tools to excel. Again, I think that's one of the things that I'm proudest of, like seeing the development in all my colleagues. Like I've seen so many changes and not just in cutting or coloring, it's how they've grown and how they've matured as individuals. Which is, I think...
Yeah, I think that's really respectful of you, because obviously you're aware that the more you educate your team, the more you bring them to the best of their potential, the closer you're getting them to eventually maybe become competitors of yours. And
Yes.
I know it's happened.
Yes.
How do you view that, as a natural progression, or?
A natural progress. Something that has to happen, I think.
Yeah.
And again, I think we've retained amazing relationships with...
How did it feel, the first employee breakup?
It's hard, but the first breakup wasn't for them to go into the worst one. The first one that came along, she didn't go and open her own salon. It was because she got pregnant and then decided to
not work.
Work. She was doing hairdressing on the side, but again, it's
Now
something
with
that
kids,
has
you
to
understand, yeah.
for sure. It's something that I think is inevitable. Like people need to progress and need to see progression. So.
I think
if that's
hairstyling is part art and part vocation. No, I think when you think about it, you have to be really committed to this.
You have to be extremely committed, and it's very tiring.
Of
I mean,
course.
people don't realize, but and it's not just the physical labor of it; it's the mental load that people are constantly dumping. Yes, anything. So it's problems at home, and you're just there to listen. I mean, we're not there to give advice because we're not. But it is mentally draining as well. But extremely rewarding, which I think that is why the majority
you have a huge impact on people's lives. Huge.
I think most hairdressers, I think you become very close to, I think, your barber or your hairdresser, and it's something that people enjoy, or the majority of people enjoy going and getting that, whether it's half an hour or 3 hours in the salon, they unwind, they relax, they can really speak about whatever they feel they need to speak about, and there's that element of trust.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure in a non-GDPR world, there could be a great book, Confessions from a Hairstylist, no?
Well, the thing
I'm not proposing that you do that, okay?
No,
it'll be very damaging to your brand, and you probably will get sued.
But the reality is that it's strange that I'm there, I'm listening, but when the client leaves my chair, it's very difficult for me to remember exactly what was said, if anything, like until they're back in the chair. So when they come back, even if it's a year or 2 years later, I still remember the same conversation.
Wow.
But I'd never go home and sort of like discuss conversations, or because I just wouldn't think about it. I wouldn't even.
It's part of the job. Yeah. And in the whole education process of becoming a hairstylist, I mean, how much training do you get in building personal relationships with your customers?
None.
And none.
No, it's not something that
should it be there?
It should. It should. I mean, I think it's a skill that one develops naturally as well. But it's also, there are obviously hairdressers or barbers that don't stick to like just listening and giving sometimes the wrong advice. And we're not there to give advice, we're there to listen, because obviously we don't understand or we're not trained in that. But I think it should be something that hairdressers sort of educate themselves into. But I don't feel it can come at a later stage. They can do it alone. But I think that's sort of what gives the hairdresser that unique persona of being great at. It's a 360. It's not just cutting hair. I think you need to be good at all aspects of hairdressing, where it comes to cutting, coloring, listening, giving them that encouragement, that confidence. So it's a whole package.
I want to jump back into the education side. You loved school when you were a kid.
I did.
And yet you think, and we just discussed this now, that the whole education system is broken.
Yes.
You suffered as a child because you had dyslexia, you were dyslexic.
Yeah.
Which probably is what gives you the superpower to fight even harder to get more. Why is the education system broken? How do you see a different world? Like if this was your next business and your next startup, how would you fix it?
I'd love to go into that.
I'm sure you would.
No, I just think it's not fair. No, so it's not cut out for everyone. The education systems, you're only sort of, it only favors 20% of the population, that are left-brainers. So it's not tackling the people who are dyslexic, who have that ADHD. It's just, I think we really need to look at it at a different way, more of a holistic approach. That it's very difficult because obviously you need the marks and the grades to progress. But I still think that, again,
Do you?
Well, in our system, yes, because you need to go into sixth form and university. So that's what you're being judged on. But no, I just think it's very difficult for people who have learning difficulties to excel. And the problem with that is that obviously that you lose your confidence. So once you lose your confidence at school, where you're there for the majority of your youth, it also affects you afterwards as well, because you feel you're not good enough. So that, I just think that there are different ways that we should be doing things.
You got your confidence from football, or you got your confidence from school?
I got my confidence from sports in general, football.
Yeah.
But I also had an amazing support system at school.
Yeah.
So
you were speaking about that.
Even when I got into hairdressing, they were extremely they were very happy for me to find something that they felt that I could do well in. And they were completely they encouraged me a lot. So they understood that the university path isn't for everyone. And I got amazing feedback from that. I still actually cut some of my teachers' hair. So yeah, I still.
I'm sure they must be extremely proud of what you've achieved.
Well, as in, again, I think they helped me a lot. So they gave me the confidence to be able to sort of go in and get it.
You believe the university path is something that's going to remain forever, with all the changes that we see in this world and all the digital exposure that we have? Would you, with your kids, would you tell them to get into business first and then go to university later, or how would you see it? Giving advice to your kids now. Be careful, because they're probably going to listen to this. No,
again, obviously I wouldn't say the university path is for everyone. I still think that there are certain professions that need to go through that route. But no, to my kids, I'd say do whatever you feel comfortable in and what you love. Because I think if you're not passionate about anything you do, you can't excel in it. It's extremely difficult to do something and become great at something if you don't love it.
Yeah.
So.
True story. You're an eternal optimist. Even the way you've spoken about everything, even when I throw you problems at you, it's like, oh yeah, but learned lesson, da. What challenges you? What scares you?
Ooh, what scares me? That's something I don't really think about, honestly.
You're avoiding it?
Maybe. But no, it scares me. Health scares me. As in, that's something.
It's probably one of the things as well. We have control, but there's a limit. We all have a timer on. If The Economist had to write about you in 100 years' time, okay, assuming that you're going to live for another 100 years,
Okay.
with all your longevity stuff that you do, you probably will. And you're very competitive, so you have to win at this game. So assuming that you're going to live to 140, what do you want The Economist to write about you in your obituary?
I think one of the most satisfying things that one can say about me that I'd enjoy is the fact that I've helped develop a lot of people and give them that passion that I had to excel in everything they do. So that's, I think, one of the most important things, or the nicest things someone can say about me, is that like I've helped people grow. At the same time, while doing that, I think I've grown myself as well. So whenever you're pushing and motivating someone, you're also, it's happening to you as well. So every time I give that motivational speak and talk and chat, it's just very motivating for me as well. And it just gives me more of a purpose to continue doing what I'm doing. So I think it's the growth thing. I would like to be able to continue doing this, and I'd like for it to work. So like if I'm remembered for helping people succeed in anything that they're doing, obviously in my case it's the hairdressing, it's the businesses that I'm involved in, then I think that would be a really nice thing to.
That's a really beautiful legacy to leave behind. Kudos to that. So my final two questions for you. 14-year-old Dean sweeping the floors in his mum's salon. If you had to look forward and see where you've arrived now, what do you think he would say?
I think he'll be quite proud, but I think back then I remember my best friend's parents. So when I was 15, I traveled. I did a Europe trip with them, and it's something I don't remember telling them, but she told me, I remember you telling me like I'm going to have 12 salons. I'm going to have a massive team. And the reality was that, again, I mean, that's a boy's dream, but and luckily I was very fortunate to be able to maybe not have 12 salons, but create a brand that was quite successful and managed to get some really good people to believe in what I believed in.
That's amazing.
So,
and if you had to speak to 14-year-old Dean, what would you tell him?
To continue dreaming, to dream big, and to go into a lot of challenges that one might not feel that they are capable of. I think I was extremely positive and optimistic that I would succeed. And again, I had a lot of people and a lot of help that encouraged me and believed in me. So again, it's when people encourage you and sort of lift that dream and make you feel like it's achievable, I think it's that little bit easier to go in for it.
Amazing. So the soundtrack to the film of your life, what's it going to be? Pick one song.
The soundtrack. Quite a tough one. But I think I'm a massive Queen lover. So I think it would be a little bit of Bohemian Rhapsody, because it's all over the place. So it's a little bit, and I think it's a little bit like what my life is. So I'm never really, really stable, and I'm always I'm not searching for the next thing, but if that opportunity comes about, I'm not one to shut it down. So I always enjoy the next challenge, and I think Bohemian Rhapsody has a lot of that, and it's quite a long one. So
I think just looking and listening and seeing how Bohemian Rhapsody goes through one chapter to the next, I think this is like absolutely the perfect song for you.
And it's a feel-good song as well. It's one that I try and belt out every now and whenever I hear it.
Do the neighbors hear it when you're belting it out?
No, no. But again, I think it's such a good song that it actually even makes you believe that you can sing. Like every time I sing it, I feel like I can sing, which
do you want to try it now?
No. It's one thing I can't do.
Well, you never know. Dean, it's been an absolute privilege to listen to you chat today. It's
Thank you so
such a
much.
nice story, and honestly, kudos. I really hope to see your legacy of growing other people come through.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.